Hi, I'm Deanie from the website Runs with Needles, and I'm here to teach you how to use the Kitchener stitch to graft two pieces of a garment together. As you probably already know, the Kitchener stitch is used extensively to graft the toe of the sock. What I want you to do is get some leftover yarn, preferably heavyweight, and a large size circular needle. I'm using Lamb's Pride wool yarn and size 11 circular needles. The length of the cable does not matter for this example. Next, get a tapestry needle. I prefer the one that has the angle at the tip because it slides into my stitches much easier. Now cast on 10 stitches and knit about 8 to 10 rows, just enough for this practice swatch. You can stop this video here and restart once you've created your swatch. Okay, first we need to separate these stitches so that there are 5 on each needle. This is important in knitting your sock as well. You must have equal number of stitches when you get to grafting the toe. It doesn't matter what the total number is, it just needs to be divided equally by 2. So here what we need to do is take your other needle, set it side by side with the other stitches, and this makes it easier for you to pull the stitches back through the cable and then back again to the needle. So start pulling the stitches back to the cable, and about midway drop the needles, come back over, and as you can see I've got my stitches here, and I want to pull the cable through the halfway mark of the stitches, which will be 5. Cinch the cable, holding on to the stitches with your right hand, pull the cable back through the stitches. Now once you start feeling the needles coming up on your right side, I want you to stop, hold the stitches in your left hand, and push the needles the rest of the way. The reason for doing this is because it'll keep you from pulling your stitches off the needles. This is a much easier way of doing this. I learned that from somebody that knew what they were doing with knitting socks. Alright, so now we've got 5 stitches on the front and 5 stitches on the back. Then cut the yarn about 18 inches and thread it through your tapestry needle. We're going to hold our 2 needles parallel, and the working yarn will always come from the back needle. That's the way it is in working with a sock as well. First we're going to do a setup stitch. We will do this once, which is why it's called a setup stitch. And what we're going to do is purl into the front first stitch, leave it on, and then come back under and knit into the back stitch and leave it on. Okay, so let's do that. Purl into the front stitch, just cinch it up a little bit, don't tighten really tight, come back under and knit into the front of the back stitch, pull it through and leave the working yarn underneath. Okay, real simple, right? Alright, now here's what we do for the Kitchener stitch. It is purl front off, knit front on, knit back off, purl back on. Okay, so what that means is purl front off, we purl through the front stitch and lift it off, then we knit through the front stitch and we keep it on. Then we go to the back, we knit the back stitch and they pull it off, then we purl the back stitch and leave it on. And we alternate 2 in the front, 2 in the back until we get to the last 2, and then we purl the front off, knit the back off, and then we pull our yarn through the back into the other side of the knitting garment, or when we have a sock it'll be the toe of the sock, and then weave in the ends. So let's go ahead and start working on this. Purl front off, purl, and then I use my thumb to push off so I don't grab everything, and then gently pull the yarn through. Do not tighten or cinch it really tightly. Then knit through the next stitch and leave it on. Okay? Then we're going to duck under here and we're going to knit the back one off. And again, you've got to make sure your yarn stays underneath and pull it off. And then we'll purl the back and leave it on. Okay, back underneath, purl front off. As soon as I get it through here, little slippery things, purl front, push it off with my finger, then I knit and leave on, duck underneath, knit, and off it comes. I push this off and purl and leave on. Okay, and just make sure that the yarn, and you just want to tap it. You don't want to cinch it really tightly. That is a big deal because it won't look right when you take it off. Purl front off, purl front, lift off, knit front, leave on, come back over, knit back off. I'm going to pull this off there and purl back on. It does get a little slippery. Okay, back to the front, purl front off. As you can see, we can start picking up speed pretty soon. Not a whole lot, but it's okay. Knit front on and leave that one on, but you get the rhythm of it. In the back, knit back off, and make sure you don't lose your other stitches. This is probably what people don't like about it. And purl back on. For the last two, you will be coming underneath again. So purl front off, and you'll be removing it from your needle altogether. Then in the last one, knit front off. And as I dropped it off, there we go. We have a little bit of an extra. Try and cinch this part up. The good news is you take your needle, cross over that piece of yarn, push it through the back, and what you end up doing is you pull that extra little piece right with it, and it's just magic. Look at that, look at that. And I'm not even showing you the other side. That is magic. And then just weave in your end like you would any other kind of cast off, bind off. Just weave it in a little bit. I tend to go up the sock so it doesn't stretch outwise. There you go. Pretty darn cool. Have fun.